Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is RemovableSanity, and today I am reviewing Almost My Flaw on the Series X. It's been developed by Potato Company and published by Sometimes You. So what is Almost My Flaw? Almost My Flaw is best described as a point-and-click detective game split between two protagonists. The premise is you play as two protagonists at varying times. For Alex, this is a story of what exists between fiction and reality. It is time to face the monsters, meet the other house residents, and determine their fate. But most important thing is to escape the depths of terror and to try to remain sane afterwards. For Detective Adam Trust, it's up to you to unravel the secrets of the situation and resolve quickly what is happening. Now, the game boasts two main characters with different perspectives on history, various options for passing the puzzles, a comic book art style, and monsters promising death at every turn. First things first, accessibility. With regards to accessibility, there is only a few things this game has. It does have subtitles, however the size cannot be changed, which would be ideal if this could be patched in. It does, however, offer a button press to skip subtitles for easy reading instead of being automatic. There is no text-to-speech option for the game, so those with eyesight issues will have problems. There is, though, a nice highlight option in the game that will help those with eyesight issues, but no option to change the colour. Now, even though this is a point-and-click adventure, there are many quick-time events in the game, but no option to skip or slow down these elements, which will hinder some from progressing the story. In all, there is little to no accessibility options, so please be aware before purchase. And now to the gameplay. The game starts with a short cinematic cutscene showing Alex in an interrogation room, looking like he's been through hell. As he begins telling his story to the police officer, we jump back and see Alex just as he's arriving home to his run-down apartment building. It seems he's reeling from some strange and sad events in his life. From here, you will be introduced to the game's mechanics in how this particular point-and-click adventure works. Even though this is a point-and-click adventure, you play entirely with a controller. You use the right joystick to move the protagonist around the background, with the left stick to control the character's walking movement, and right trigger being used to run. One great feature is the highlight option, which by pressing Y will highlight all elements on screen with a bright white layer. Sometimes points of particular interests are highlighted with a white dot over the top as well. Now, when you do click on people or objects of interest, Alex will either perform the default action, if there is only one action. Otherwise, it will bring up two different options. One for his explaining what you are looking at, and the other is a conversation option allowing for further interaction. Another nice feature is a permanent inventory bar lining the top of the screen, which works wonders when trying to work out what to do next with what item. And being a point-and-click game, puzzles are part of the genre. Here it's the usual job of exploring a scene, looking for ideas or items to distract a character so you can walk past them or take something they don't want you to have. Or it can be reading a diary and use details from it to figure out what order to press a series of symbols. Nothing here is too out of the ordinary in terms of puzzles, and I also wouldn't say they're too taxing. Just a little creative thinking, you can easily bypass them. Speaking of puzzles, like some conversations, your actions may lead on to choices in the game that will determine if you are good or evil. A 50s-like cartoon angel and devil will appear over Alex's shoulder, either encouraging him to do something evil or find a good solution. The system here is sneaky in that the evil option is always the easier one at the time, but will create consequences for you later in the game. The good option generally requires more thought or more steps, but will pay off later on with characters being friendly or helpful to you. This opens up the game in terms of replayability, and depending on your choices, for better or worse, will lead to one of the two potential endings that vary in small but significant ways. Now, for Alex, the lift in this game is the entrance and exit for the game's whole level design, so you can always know where you are going. Each level gets more bizarre and horror-inducing, with neighbours becoming monstrous creatures and the surrounding world twisting into exposed red flesh and sinew. Now, the game isn't all about puzzles. There are some quick time events where a bar with green sections appear with a cursor sliding left to right. You have to hit the cursor on the specific green zones to progress. If you make a mistake, however, it will lead to your death, but thankfully there is no real death here, and you're always put back just in front of the quick timed event. There are also a few other mini games that require quick thinking or quick reflexes, or in some cases a combination of the two. For example, cutting wires with a timer counting down, or blocking an onslaught of laser blasts using prompter buttons. It's a shame there is no option to skip said event for those who have motor issues. About 3/4 of the way through, you get to take control of another protagonist, the detective called Adam Trust, in this strange story. He has been hired by Alex's girlfriend's parents, and his search takes him almost immediately to the apartment. Everywhere you have visited as Alex in a hellscape populated by monsters and horror, you now revisit as Adam, but who sees nothing but a normal decrepit building. By adding in another character to unravel the tangled mess of the first, the game cleverly plays with your sense of reality by experiencing each level in an entirely different light. And because of this, you start to doubt Alex's version of events and his behaviour. As you progress further, you begin to discover that something more complex is happening. Adam's version in terms of control is the same, however there are no timed events, and all the puzzles take the form of finding keys and codes to access more information. What is clever is that with you as Adam, you will thoroughly pore over each of Alex's scenes, looking for any clues you can, interrogating characters, and generally investigating the areas that he was in. Something you couldn't actually do with Alex, and thus build up a better understanding as you progress. And now for the graphics. The game has a lovely comic book art style in general, but that really shines during the cutscenes, which are delivered in a lightly animated comic book panels that slash across your screen. The general characters' designs are punctuated by thick black outlines and subtle highlight colours, enough to make them pop out of the background drawings. The dialogues change depending on the scene, with some expressed through speech bubbles and other white dialogues transitioning across the bottom of your screen. When it comes to the in-game visuals, the bold character sprites are dropped into incredibly detailed backgrounds that perfectly showcase off the world's grey, grimy, low-rent apartments. The world building here is top-notch and is a visual treat to the eyes, and as the game progresses, the more supernatural elements began to seep in, with colourful blood splatters here and there. Soon the atmosphere is cranked up using the full colour palette, showcasing beauty of the demonic world in all its goriness. Grasping glowing blue-green hands reaching down from light fixtures, chunks of dark red viscera on the ground tinged with green slime, rooms full of huge floating green eyeballs, or a pack of ghostly silhouetted figures staring dead-eyed in a corridor. Each scene perfectly setting the spiral into madness that Alex is going through. Another good element is that some text is highlighted to ensure you always know what is of importance. It's just a shame that you can't amend the colour, which would be a help to those with eyesight issues. And now for the sound. For this game, the general sound quality is superb. The game's music emulates your general horror movie style, and its use of tense and echoing piano keystrokes or the low buzzing tones resembled those iconic sounds from the classic horrors of old. Combine this with the immersive ambience of background noises like buzzing fluorescent lights, wet sounds, and the game's many grotesques. It drags you into a world gone mad. There is some voice acting, and this is limited to some cutscenes, but what is there works well in terms of selling the story and characters that are voiced. The voice actors sell their respective characters well, and it's a shame we couldn't hear more of them, if I'm honest.
Why would I lie? So what happened next? You mean centaurs or maybe a unicorn? Centaurs wouldn't be that bad. However, it was much worse.
And this leads me on to the rating of the game. Now, I rate games in order of avoid, on sale, great purchase, and must own. My rating for Almost My Floor is a great purchase. This is a fun game to play and perfect for those wanting a point-and-click adventure to keep them entertained for a few hours. The game at no point didn't deliver on its promise and brings its own style and take to the genre. Whilst it is a shame that it's missing some accessibility options, I do hope that these can be patched in later so more could enjoy this great game. The game is currently priced on Xbox at £8.39 or approximately $10, and depending on your skill and patience would give you about 3+ hours worth of gameplay. With the good and evil system in place and a second ending depending on your choices, this could easily add another 3 hours of replayability. This small indie dev team have hit upon a winning recipe, and it's clear there is value for money here. I look forward to what they produce next, as playing this game shows they have a good understanding of what made a point-and-click adventure enjoyable. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. I do hope you like this review, and if you do, please like, share and subscribe if you so wish. And if you would like to put some notes or even just a comment in the comment section, I do like reading them. Anyway, have a great time gaming, and I'll see you all again soon.